Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. It's Wednesday, it's midday. It must be time for LinkedIn Live Leadership. This week, it's number 25. Can you believe it? How to motivate people as the offices start to fill up again. My name is Gary Crosby. I'm an action coach, business coach here in my office in Alton Southgate in Peterborough. And the whole purpose of this little series is really just to share some tips and ideas that I've had from my leadership journey to hopefully help you to improve your leadership. I'll be sharing ideas from my time in the RAF, my time in the corporate world, and my time as a business coach, where a lot of business owners really get focused on how to get the best out of their people, how to motivate or inspire their people. Nice, simple objective today. I just hope that at the end of the 10 minutes or so, you're going to log out thinking, well, you know what, I'm glad I heard that. It's kind of inspired me to learn a bit more about motivation. And that would be good if that was the outcome. If you want to look at the previous 24 LinkedIn Lives, then head over to my YouTube channel, Gary Crosby, Business Coach, and you'll find them all there. And you subscribe to that channel, of course, you'll get a little nudge to let you know that there's new content every week, because we do this every Wednesday at midday. All right, so let's have a look at motivation. And I'll be sharing some thoughts from my business book club. We have a book club every month where we read a great book and we lock in the learnings by discussing it together. Last month, we did this book. It's Drive by Daniel Pink. And it says on the cover, the surprising truth about what motivates us. And the surprising thing is that businesses and organizations are still doing old-fashioned stuff that the science doesn't support. So the research in this book indicates what it is that motivates people. We still find businesses and organizations doing the opposite. So let's get into some detail, and I'll try and help you as a leader to think about what you could do to help motivate your team. So what Daniel Pink found was that financial incentives work very well up to a certain point. And after that, there's lots of other factors that come into play. Some people are motivated by what he calls external or extrinsic factors. These are type X people, and if a certain work is done, then they will get a certain reward, and that's enough motivation for them. And in Daniel's research, he says this applies to what he calls routine work, right? So if you're doing something that doesn't require a lot of creativity, it doesn't require a lot of lateral thinking, a lot of relationship building, then this kind of financial incentive works up until a point. But there are a large group of people, he calls them type I, and they're motivated by internal or intrinsic factors. These people are motivated simply by the inherent satisfaction of the work itself. Now, at this point, the book club members started to get a bit agitated, and they were kind of, well, this sounds a bit utopian. You know, the world isn't full of those kind of people and those kind of companies. There's this kind of sense that he was just idealizing it too much, you know, but I think he's got a point. As long as you recognize that the people he's talking about, these type I people who are motivated from the inside, they've already got enough money. Now, I don't mean that they've got loads of money. I just mean they've got enough money so that money is off the table as the primary motivating factor. Okay, so they're type I people. What he indicated through his research was that those type I people are often more successful in the long term, which is not surprising if they're strongly motivated from inside, I guess. They're happier in their work, and they have higher levels of physical and mental well-being. Okay, so there are some benefits to being that kind of type I person, if you like. Now, what the research found was that there were 3 specific motivational factors in play when you looked at those type I people. They are autonomy, mastery, and purpose. So we'll just have a very quick look at each of those 3, right? So autonomy sounds exactly what it is, the ability to direct your own life. Okay, now this book was written in 2010, I think, certainly around that sort of time. And what we've learned over the last 18 months is that there are people who are really happy when they get to control their own schedule, and they're able to do the work that is required in their own time. Sometimes they're working very early or very late, but they're still able to manipulate the schedule to suit the rest of their life. So that's evidence that we're seeing in the real life right now, not just in the research. We know that people who do that can still be productive and efficient in their work. And so I guess the question for you as a business leader is, well, how can I give my team autonomy? It turns out there are 4 areas of autonomy that Pink thinks are really important. So they're pretty obvious, really, that people like to have autonomy over what it is they're doing, how they're doing it, who they're doing it with, and actually when they're doing it. And he calls those things task, time, team, and technique, probably not in that order, but that's the 4 things. So if you're able to give people some control over those 4 things, then that's going to help them to have that sense that they've got some autonomy. Various companies have tried this, of course, and you'll be able to Google lots of different stories about how companies have said to their employees, look, we're going to give you some autonomous time. whether that's, you know, 1 day a month or 1 day a quarter, where you can do whatever you want as long as it has a positive outcome and you're prepared to come and talk about what it was that you did. And most famously, things like Post-it notes and what else? Gmail was invented in one of these Google periods where people were allowed to do kind of autonomous tasks. So there's some benefit to autonomy. It'd just be interesting to see how you can do that within your own particular environment. One of the things that Pink talks about is what he calls ROWE, which is a results-only work environment. Last year, I wrote an article talking about OBF's, outcome-based freedoms. This idea that you say, this is the outcome I want, these are the results that we need to see, and then give people a bit more freedom to do what they need to do. That would be autonomy in that sense. So number 2 on the list was mastery, the simple desire to get better and better at something that really matters to you. And some researchers have shown how important this can be. Some people talk about getting into the flow. Have you ever felt like you're in the flow? That's that moment when the challenge you face is kind of really matched up to the ability that you've got, and you get into the zone and you can really feel that going. So the challenge for you as a leader of business or a team leader is to say, well, how do I get people feeling that they're aiming for that sense of mastery? How do we get them into the flow? Goldilocks is the answer, according to Daniel Pink. Give people jobs that are not too hard, not too easy. They're still challenged. They've still got to improve their skills. That will get them moving up the scale towards mastery. The important thing, or interesting thing I thought about mastery, and this came up in the book club as well, was that even if mastery is not achievable, even if you really can't get to that very last step, it'll still you'll still strive for it. And of course, we see this in we saw it yesterday with Serena Williams, right? She was trying to get the 24th Grand Slam coming to Wimbledon to really achieve that degree of mastery. We see it in people who play video games. They'll play again and again and again and the same level over and over again in order to get mastery of that, even if it feels like it's not achievable. So mastery is really important to people, to be seen to be good at something. Finally, purpose is a great motivator. No surprises here. You know, if your efforts are linked to something that is a cause maybe slightly greater than yourself, and you're very clear about your purpose and your why, then that's going to make a difference. We're seeing lots of companies taking up positions like that. If you go to Patagonia's website, the clothing company, outdoor clothing company, you'll see there's a strong purpose there around climate that they're really, really passionate about. And a lot of younger workers are demanding that from their employers. Yes, you've got to make a profit, but what else is this all for? Yeah, are we making a stand for fairness or sustainability, or are we sharing profits with local causes? They want some other connection. And again, so what as a leader? I think one of the best things you can do here is to give people a line of sight from what they do to the overall vision and mission and purpose of the company. And if you haven't got that vision, mission, and purpose, then we need to have a chat so that you can get that sorted out and make sure people understand that. When you show them that line of sight from where they are, the job that they're doing in their team and they're part of the division of the company, then they can see the outcome. That's a great motivator for purpose. A good test for any employee here, any team leader here, is to say, do the people in this team or in this company talk about the company in terms of we and us, or are they talking about the company in terms of them? Yeah, because that could also tell you how connected they are with the purpose that you've got in your company. So autonomy, purpose, mastery, they're really important in non-routine work where there's a bit more creativity required, a bit more innovation. Financial incentives are still valid as motivators, but perhaps when you look at the more routine end of the spectrum, what motivates people can also come down to something much simpler. Let me just share very quickly with you something that happened during my RAF career. We were doing a survey of the junior ranks of our organization, the youngest and lowest ranking members of the RAF. And we said to them, what is it that could motivate you? If we get the chief of the air staff, the senior ranking officer in the Air Force, to come to your station and say, you've all done a very good job, keep up the good work, how motivating is that? And they were kind of, well, you know, not really. Okay, so let's get the station commander, the local commander, to do the same. It gets everybody together. You've been doing really hard work in difficult and challenging circumstances. How motivating is that for you? Well, you know, it's nice that he's interested, but, you know, it's not the biggest thing. So we said to them, okay, well, what is the biggest thing? And what it came down to in that part of the organization was that they just wanted their local line managers to give them a pat on the back and say, you've done a great job. Or give them a pat on the back and say, The team has done a great job. We're going to take next Friday off as a thank you for that. So some really simple measures. Yeah, autonomy, purpose, mastery is all very important, but there could be some very simple motivational things that you could do in your team. All right, so we just galloped through motivation in 10 minutes. Again, I hope you found it useful. If you did, leave me a comment so that I can see what you think. Tag somebody else in if you think they could use the content. Leave a comment so that I know what's important for you. Thanks for watching. I'm going to see you all next week, Wednesday at midday, as always, for LinkedIn Live Leadership number 26 next week. Have a really good week. See you soon.